Hello class, I wanted to make a video just to help you through your worksheet 1 that's due this week. I want to go into the course and show you where everything's located and what you need to do. So when you click on your course, this comes up. Remember, this week I went ahead and placed in the news items of what's due this week, because some of you keep asking, but all you have to do is go to your calendar and look at your calendar. It tells you what's due. All I did was copy out of the calendar, so I'm going to show you that. If you go up to course content, it'll open up this. Now your view is going to be a little different than mine. Let me see if I can get back to the student view. Let me do that. And I don't know if it'll let me see everything, so I may have to change it. But when I first come in, it looks like this. I'm going to click on my table of contents and my getting started. This is where the calendar is located. So notice right there's calendar. If I click that, it opens down at the bottom, or it opens in the middle. There we go. And so we're in week 1. Now you notice it shows you what's due. Right here is week 1. Worksheet 1, decimals, percents, and relative frequency is due. Your Ed Ready Goal 2 is also due. You need to have that finished. And then submit your email into the Dropbox. And then try taking your first quiz in eLearn. Try first attempt. You have unlimited attempts until, let's see, when does it shut down? I think it's September 16th. So you need to go in there and try to pass it. You have to make at least a 70 on the quiz, which that's the lowest C possible, so you will make higher. But anyway, so that's what's due this week. Now let me go back to my view where I can get to everything, because it won't let me see because I'm not a student. Okay, back to course content. What you're going to do is, we are in week 1 through 3. So you're going to click week 1 through 3. We're in week 2. You're going to click that. When you do, you see the different things down through here that's due this week. Well, your very first one says worksheet week 2. If you click that, notice it should open up here at the top. You're going to have to download that. So you just click on it and it opens up. Now, you'll have a download button. Mine is here. I'm not sure if yours is on the side. It says download, or it may be right in this area. But anyway, the document looks like this. It's a Word document. And so this is the exact same documents that's used in the On Ground class. So that's why you see it saying stuff like group role play, facilitator, presenter, all those things. You're not going to have a group. But I did put in, let me think where this is located. Under activities, let's see, let me see if it's there. Discussion. Under activities and discussion, you can go into that and notice it says week 1 discussion, and then you can click on no one discussed anything for the review, but if anyone would like to discuss something on the worksheet, like maybe there's something you're not understanding, you can talk with each other. That's fine. If you were here on campus, that's what we would be doing in class. You can talk to each other about problems that you have on the worksheet of how to go about doing things. But that's only focuses on the worksheet, okay? Notice there's a discussion for each of these worksheets. So if there's something that you want to ask a student in your class about, say, hey, do you know how to do this? You're welcome to use that. But I want to go back to the worksheet. Now, I printed off the worksheet so I could look at this. But what I wanted to do is kind of go over this. If you notice, the first part is what we just had in your first review. And in your Ed Ready, you talked about rounding numbers. And what happens with this, notice sometimes MyLabs Plus will say round to the nearest 10th, round to the nearest 100th, round to the nearest 1000th. You have to pay attention to what this is talking about. Now, if it's talking about the nearest 10th, that's a fraction like 1 over 10. Nearest 100th, 1 over 100. 1 over 1,000 is the thousandths. Notice how many zeros are in 1 over 10, okay? When you do that, notice there's 1 0. That means that you will be, notice if I have 1 0 and 1/10, that means I'm going to round 1 decimal place. If it's 100, there's 2 zeros, I'm going to round 2 decimal places. If it's 1,000th, there's 3 zeros in 1,000, I'm going to round 3 decimal places. And I give you an example here, and it talks about when to round up and when not to. If the next place beyond what we are looking at is 5 or higher, then you round up. So for instance, on this example, it says 2.348, round to the nearest hundredth. 100 has 2 decimal places, 2 zeros, so I'm going to round 2 decimal places. We're right here at the 4. If I look beside the 4 and I see the 8, it's 5 or higher. So the 4 goes up 1 value to a 5. So notice this would round up to 2.35. It's like saying 34 goes up to 35. That's what we're looking at. Now, if your digit is below 5, then you just truncate the value and leave it. So for instance, this one says take this 5.3242 and round to the nearest 10th. Well, 10 has 1 0. So I'm going to round 1 decimal place. There's the 3. Look beside it. Notice that 2 is not 5 or higher. So I just knock off these numbers and leave 5.3. That's my answer. So 5 or higher, round up. Below 5, do not round up. You just drop it off. So you're asked to do some practice problems there. Okay, the next section involves some things that you do in section 2.2 in statistics. So let me take I've got 2 copies here, so let me do this. Okay, what they're going to ask you to do is convert from a frequency table, which this is an example of a frequency table, and they're going to ask you to convert from frequency to relative frequency. Now, it leads you through what to do. First of all, it says, what is the total frequency for the table? You're going to add these values up, and you're going to write it in that spot. Next, notice it says, complete the relative frequency distribution for the amount of tar in filtered cigarettes. Round your answer to the nearest 1,000th. That means 3 decimal places. What you do to convert from a frequency to a relative frequency, I've given you an example here. You take your total, you add these up, and I think it totals 26, I believe. If it does, then what happens is you take your amount and divide by your total. So notice I give you the first example. I take 2, divide by 26, and I get this value. Now go back. Remember, it said round to the nearest 1,000th. So tenths, hundreds, thousands, just 3 decimal places. I'm at the 6, then look beside it, I have a 9. That means I got to round that 6 up. So I round it to 0.077. You're going to do that for the next values. You're going to take 3 divided by 26, you're going to round 3 decimal places. You're going to do 6 divided by 26, round 3 decimal places. And then finally 15 divided by 26 and round 3 decimal places. So that is how you create a frequency distribution. Now notice what it says. Create a relative frequency distribution now using percentages for the amount of tar. What we did was use decimals first. So let me move this page up. Let's see what we're doing. So right there we did a relative frequency. Now notice it says caution. When rounding percentages, it's important to multiply by 100 before rounding. So you need to do that. Okay, so let me turn my page and let me talk about this for a second. Okay, now you have you take your value again, go back to your fraction. You're taking your calculator and you're doing 2 divided by 26 and hit enter. And then multiply by 100. Notice it asks you to round, how? To the nearest 100th. Round your percentage to the nearest 100th. So what I've done, I've changed it to percent, and now I got to round to the nearest 100th, which means 2 decimal places. So that's 7.69. Notice there's a 2 beside the 9, so that means don't change it. I have 7.69%. You're going to do that with each one of these. You're going to do 3 divided by 26, hit enter on your calculator, multiply by 100, and then round 2 decimal places. You're going to do that all the way down through here. Okay. Now what they ask you to do, once you get those calculated, you're going to add all those percentages up and see what the total is. you should notice something about this. So answer those questions. And then notice it says use the relative frequency histogram to answer these parts. So they're talking about this relative frequency histogram. So let me change this on my screen. See what we're doing. Okay, so they're asking you to take this histogram and then answer these questions. You're just going to read the histogram, but let me remind you of something. Notice down here at the bottom, this histogram is talking about the number of pets in a home. So notice the number of pets when they did an interview, they did a sample. Notice the percentage that had one pet would be 23.41% if we did it percentages. Notice 2 pets would be 45.01%. 3 would be 23.4%. And 4 or more would be 8.18%. That's you're looking at your graph. Now, when it asks you to answer these questions, notice it says which is larger, the proportion of households that have 1 pet in the home or the proportion that has 3 pets. What you have to do is go up and find your relative frequency above 1 pet, find your number, then go find for 3 pets, find your number, and then you need to compare those two values using the inequality symbol. Which one's greater, which one's less. You're going to place that value between them. Notice then it's asking you about percentage. What percentage of households have 4 or more pets? I told you that just a second ago, so you can look that up. Then they ask you some more things about percentages. So that's how you're going to work on this handout. Write it out, type it out, however you want to do it, and then submit it into the Dropbox just like you did the first thing that we did for your review. I hope this helps. Have a good week. Thanks.